Greetings and Happy New Year. I first of all want to apologize that I have taken so long to come back. I know I promised some of you at Yule that I was going to come back and do a few follow-up videos, which I did not do. If you follow my channel regularly, you know that I've had a very, very busy last part of 2017, including my daughter's wedding and a lot of stuff going on here at home with my family and big family holidays, etc. And I just was pretty much slammed, I have to say, pretty much slammed through the holidays, through the whole month of December. And so much so that I really embarrassed myself with friends that I even kind of ignored some correspondences with friends, and I was very embarrassed about it because I just didn't even have the time to pick up my phone and to respond. But anyway, I'm trying to change all that. I'm trying to change all that. That's behind me, and now I'm looking at 2018, and I'm a little calmer. Things are a little calmer now. Things are a little more under control, and I'm really trying to get a focus back, like I'm sure everyone else is. This is the time of the year when we all really take stock. You know, we take stock, and some people make resolutions, some people give intentions, big intentions, some people do none of that. A lot of people are hoping for what the year to come. I did notice one thing. I just wanted to say at New Year's, at the end of the year this year, which I found a little surprising, and that was, even though the year really had a lot of disappointments in it for a lot of people, I did not hear a whole lot of, oh, I'm so glad that year's over, goodbye, kiss that, kiss that year goodbye, kind of sentiments on New Year's, which is sort of what we've been hearing in recent years, and rather, oh, I'm really looking forward to the new year, oh, I'm so glad it's the new year, which I find really, I find that really heartening. I really do. That we're starting to think in terms of, let's be positive. Let's not hold on to this negative feeling. Let's be positive. What can we do for a positive new year? And I hope whatever you're doing, whether it is making resolutions, stating your intention, or whatever, that you are able to do it positively and not negatively. Because doing something negatively is just holding on to the negativity. I had some wonderful experiences. I did share with you that we did the Yule log. My husband and I did the Yule log, where we stated our intentions this year and burned the Yule log. I have to say, though, I'm going to admit to you that we did not do that on the actual date of Yule. I believe we did it on the, 22nd or 23rd of December, because that's the first chance that we had. That's the first chance that we had to really sit down and state our intentions. Really give that Yule log a burn. And that's okay. Remember, I told you that this is first of all, Yule is a season. It will remain Yule until it's Imbolc in the beginning of February. So you have a whole season here for this kind of evaluation, this kind of, self-examination, setting intentions, setting yourself on track for the new year. So don't think if you missed it, you missed it. You didn't miss anything. Okay? So that's that. And then I also had a really lovely New Year's Eve this year. We had a very intimate New Year's Eve with just a couple friends and a quiet dinner. And then we, there was no party involved, quiet dinner, and then we, again, wrote our intentions this time, tied them to a paper and a branch from a tree, and tied them with lovely, lovely ribbons, and we burned those in the Yule log, and not in the Yule log, in their New Year's Eve log, the special fire that they had built just for the purpose. And we also did something really, really fun, and that was she had printed out and laminated a copy of the astrological wheel, which shows the 12 houses of the zodiac, and we know each one of those houses represents a different area in our life. Some represent our family, some represent our possessions, another house will represent our health, and my prosperity and all of these things, right? So we went through, we lit some candles. She had set them out before midnight, and while our log was burning, and we went through lighting a candle one by one, beginning with Aries, and we went through the whole wheel, lighting a candle and speaking our intentions, sharing our intentions with the others in the room for the new year. It was really a lovely, wonderful way. I have to say, a very refreshing way to spend the New Year's. Usually my husband and I stay home on the New Year's if we don't have a little gathering of our own, but it's never really too much. It's not a typical New Year's Eve gathering if we have it, because I really dislike the let's get really, really drunk for New Year's kind of a party. Even though you might suspect I like drinking my wine more than many others might. But never to that point. That's just, I'm not into that. I don't want to begin a new year, even though it's just a date on the calendar, with a hangover. That's just not my idea of fun. But anyway, this was lovely, and I had such a wonderful time, and it was such, I had a wonderful, warm, fuzzy glow when we came home that night. And but then I had to think in reflecting back on that experience, what it felt like for me. And now, of course, I did not reflect on it when I first came home, because it was probably 2:30 in the morning by the time we got home. But I did reflect on it the next day, and I have to say it was still a wonderful experience. But I have to say, I was a little concerned about my responses. I didn't have any trouble not my responses. I was happy with my responses, but it made me think the intentions that I had laid previously, both on my on the Yule log with my husband and on the intentions that I burned in the fire that night, were really about a very narrow area of my life. A very narrow area of concentration. That I was focused really on me, right? Me. And I think that's what we all do at this time of the year. We want to lose weight. We want to get a better job. We want to find love. We want to, whatever we want to do, me. Now, yes, that's what it's for. Don't jump on me. Yes, that's what it's for. But I want you to think about something. In our society today, we are so focused on self. When do you hear this word self? We hear the word self every day, nearly. What do we call it when we say, oh, I'm on Facebook, I gotta take a selfie? We take selfies. How many of you have friends on Facebook or family members on Facebook that post just about nothing but selfies, pictures of themselves? They very rarely hit that little button. You know, there's a little button when you go to take a picture on the phone. I might want to even show it to you if you don't know. But you know, here they are into their phone, into their camera, right? And here I am looking at myself, and all I have to do down here at the bottom is hit this little button down here. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at something else. The cameras used to be. It wasn't until very recently that we could even take pictures of ourselves. I remember on Facebook, in the early days on Facebook, and I don't think I was on in the early days, but so the early day when I joined, I'm not sure that it is. I'll have to wait till my Facebook anniversary is coming up. They reminded me of that. That's so silly. But I think I remember that most people, when they were trying to take pictures of self in the early days of Facebook, they would take it in a mirror, right? They would take a picture of themselves, their reflection in the mirror. That's how, which I always thought was, you know, most of the pictures, most of the selfies were taken in somebody's bathroom. And I thought, well, that's just a silly kind of a thing to want to do, but okay. But anyway, self. Everybody's thinking about self. Thinking about, I gotta take a picture of myself. What do I look like? Oh, here I am with my beautiful... I watched videos on YouTube And I love the people, but I'll tell you, I go crazy when people are like looking at the camera and then start, oh, my hair's a mess, or oh, my makeup is a mess, or they start messing with their lipstick, or they're trying to talk to me, apparently, and their other subscribers, but they're still, oh, look at my hair, you know. That sort of takes away from what you're talking, sort of takes away from the feel of like we're in a conversation, like we're sitting here having a conversation, which I know a lot of us like. Is there something wrong with that? No. At this time of the year, we should be involved in self. But when I went through that astrological wheel, I got to some things, and it made me pause. I got to some things where I said, what are you doing in the area of communication or, I don't know, charity? You know, I can't recall the terms, but those are two that really stuck in my mind. Involving others, outside yourself, those outside yourself. Where are you there? Where are you there? And I had to stop and think. I really had to stop and think, where am I there? We all get so involved in ourselves. And I think perhaps that's why we have this issue. You know, right now in this country, it's a mess. We're in a mess. Not just in this country. I know in other countries it's a mess too. The people are just so self-absorbed. It's causing a lot of bad vibes. It's causing a lot of bad things. Everybody wants everybody to be just like me. You can't be like you. You have to be like me. When did we start being like that? We just came out of the holiday season and just came out of the Christmas season for many. And I'm saying that not to attack any Christians. I'm not trying to do that. I'm really trying to make a comparison because I was raised, as you know, a Christian. My husband was raised a Christian too. And we were Christians for half of our lives. And, I mean, that's just what we were. And at least by label, we were Christian. But our families were very devout Christians. And we were raised with Christian, what they call Christian values. And to me, that was somebody like my grandmother or like my father who really, yes, they went to church, but the church part really wasn't what made them Christians, even in their own eyes. What made them Christians in their own eyes was their acts of charity, their acts of goodwill, their acts of kindness toward others, their acts of tolerance, their acts of sympathy, you know, right? Empathic acts, sympathetic acts. Helping those who are less fortunate, helping feed, you know, the Meals on Wheels, helping with the Meals on Wheels. Sewing. My grandmother went to Sewing Circle, they called it, every week, and they would sit and they would sew blankets, sew quilts, or whatever for people who needed them. My father, same thing with the men's Sunday school, they did all kinds of things. You know, that's not uncommon. We see that in churches all the time. But when they left church, they still did things. When the neighbor was sick or somebody died, they took them a casserole. If somebody's fence flew down, they helped them build it. I remember before we moved to California, we had an issue with the bridge, and everybody got together and did it together. Everybody did it together and get it together. There was nobody's blame about what happened to the bridge and whose responsibility it was to fix the bridge or whatever. Everybody got together and fixed it. Okay? And we were just saying, coming up to the holiday season this year, coming up to the Christmas season particularly, I was getting more and more on Facebook comments of, you know, I dare you to put Christ back in Christmas. If you don't believe this, if you believe Christ belongs in Christmas, say amen. You know, it's like, you know, Merry Christmas, fuck you, is kind of what people are saying. Instead of peace, greetings, I wish you peace. I wish you, you know, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. I said from the heart, nobody is offended by that. Have happy Christmas, right? I send you love, I send you blessings at this time of the year. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? As Christians, that's what we're supposed to be doing. How about as pagans? Same thing, right? We don't wish you harm. We don't wish anybody harm. What about as Jews? What about as Muslims? What about as just good people without any religious at all? Whatever happened to that be good to your neighbor, be kind to your neighbor. We stopped putting the emphasis on there. I think we stopped teaching our children that. And we became involved in self. Because there's no other way. When you're not looking here, you're looking here. On this camera, if I have two choices. I can put that little camera to face you, or I can put the little camera to face me. I have to make a choice with everything I do. And I was thinking to myself, is that what I'm doing? I'm making a choice with everything I do, and am I choosing me every time? Now, this sounds like a load of bullshit to some people. I know, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to talk like this, but I want to show you something. I want to show you something. My husband gave me a Yule gift this year. It meant more to me than just about anything I can say, and I will share these right now with you. And then I'll tell you why they meant more to me than I can say. If you can see, this is a ceramic plate. The light is really bad. I apologize for the light. If you can see it. But it has a pentagram in the center. And then it has this beautiful flame work coming around the pentagram. Okay. And you might be able to see it. It matches this beautiful ceramic chalice with it on the front. Oh, can you see that? I hope so. I don't know if you can. The light is really, really bad. The light is really bad. But the reason this means more to me, other than the fact that it's gorgeous, the glaze on this is beautiful. Green and blue and brown glaze is just so incredibly beautiful. They're made lovely. And I know how hard it is to make these because I've had my share of hours on a potter's wheel. And I could never make anything so fine as this. The reason this meant more to me than anything is these were made by a woman who lives in the Bay Area, who is a character, who's just a real character, and I follow her on Facebook. I've never had the pleasure of meeting her in real life, but I really do hope to do that so soon. She's a member. She's a part of the SCA, which you know I am. That's the historical hobby that we belong to. And we do go up to some events in her area from time to time. And I've even seen her in the south, down here in the south of California a few times. So I have hope that I will meet her someday in person. But the reason that this means so much to me, to tell you the truth, what I want to say about her is she celebrates every year on her birthday. She goes out, takes champagne and collects her friends and bottles of champagne out onto the Golden Gate Bridge, to say happy birthday to both herself and the Golden Gate Bridge because they share a birthday. And I just wasn't sure, and I looked it up, and that means that it's going to be 81 years coming up this year. She'll be 81, and she just made this. And she is fantastic. She just doesn't make pottery. Now, of course, she made this to sell. But what did she make this to sell for? The proceeds to these are going towards something that was her just latest, endeavor that she just did. She just, during all of these fires in Northern California that you heard about and watched on the news, she just, on her own tab, cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked and cooked and created meals and had somebody come by and pick up those meals and deliver them to people, hundreds and hundreds of people and firefighters and all kinds of people that were helping, volunteers, because the shelters were so overflowing they couldn't take the people. The Red Cross could not handle all of the requests that they were needed for assistance, so they were allowing, private donations. Usually they try to keep those to a minimum, so that they can make sure people really get what they need. But they were really, very grateful for her, but it was on her own dime. And she just didn't give out, any old food. She was making homemade bread every day. She was making homemade cakes and pies. And because, people want more than just, a bowl of soup or chili. There's more to life than that. This was weeks and weeks that these people were stranded, that they were evacuated, or maybe they were without their homes completely. And she said, everybody thinks about going to the shelter and delivering can of beans, but she goes, if you don't have a stove or a pot to cook the beans on, that doesn't do you any good. But just to go out of her way to make sure they had the absolute best things they did. She did it, this is the kind of thing she does ceaselessly throughout the year. She's a very busy woman, always thinking about what does she be able to do. And the proceeds from this, and the proceeds from this. And he did buy me another little covered pot. He gave it to me at Christmas. Same thing, proceeds. Other than after she pays for her clay and her glazes, whatever, probably, she donates it. And the time and the effort that it takes to do all this stuff is incredible. She's giving of herself. She's giving of herself on a regular basis. And I thought to myself, just as I was thinking, they just don't make Christians like they did anymore. Which, please, if you're Christian, I'm not mean you. I don't mean you. That's just a general statement because of the way I'm feeling. I also was saying they don't make people like Geraldine anymore. And I know they do. But it's so hard to find, isn't it? Don't we have to really look? She stands out in my mind because I'm looking clear to, the Bay Area to find somebody like Geraldine. And all the people I know, she's really sticking out in my mind. So what I was asking everybody this year is to do a little bit different. Do something a little different. And now I want to give one more emphasis, because I don't want to go on and on about this. By the way, I'll say that in a minute. I'll show you that in a minute. I was spending an awful lot of time. After my daughter's wedding, I came home, then had Thanksgiving really quickly, and then we had how many weeks? So, what, 5 weeks till Christmas, or 4 weeks till Christmas, or whatever, I don't know how many. And this is me, we try to have a simple Christmas. We have a 10 in our immediate family, and 9 or 10, I don't know. In our immediate family, and just our immediate family, and but we give everybody gifts. I give gifts for everybody, and everybody gives me a gift, and I usually, being the parent, we'll give them a couple gifts, stocking stuffers, and so it adds up to quite a few gifts. And it's difficult. It's difficult for a lot of reasons, because my children, I think, have it better off than I am usually at this point in my age. They make more money. They're of a different generation. They like certain things that I don't even know what they are. They like certain kinds of electronics, or they like certain kinds of, they don't, clothes or exercise things, or that I really don't, or music things. It's a world away from what I'm used to. So they share my feeling that a handmade gift is really the best kind of gift. So I set out, and I thought, this was me after Thanksgiving, I'm going to knit. For the men this year, I'm going to knit each man a pair of socks. Now that's 5 men. That's 5 men. I'm going to knit 5 pairs of socks between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Are you serious? Are you drunk? I don't know what I was thinking, but this is the way I think all the time. I get these unattainable goals. Unattainable goals. I set myself up for a failure every time. And I knew, of course, it could never happen. But I still have to knit. And I get a knitting and knitting and knitting. And then I don't just knit, try to do a pattern, because I knit a lot. I knit quite a bit. But I thought, this time I'm going to try a toe-up pattern. I always go from the top down. This time I'm going to go toe-up. So I spent a long time trying to figure that out, because, that was a totally new concept to me. And then I thought, and I had a new pattern, a new stitch, all kinds of stuff was new. All kinds of stuff was new. Then I couldn't find the size of needles that I needed. Instead of just using the pattern that I already had, the needles that I already had, that fit the pattern I already had, that fit the yarn that I already had, I made it more difficult for myself. And I ended up making a pair of socks, and here they are. Here's the first pair of socks that I made. Nice wool sock. It's actually a very lovely sock. It looks nice. They look nice. You see the other one? Of course, I haven't put the end in yet. They're nice, wool, soft socks, right? Who wouldn't want those? Well, I looked at those socks and I said, I'm just not happy with these socks. They're not up to my standard. And also, I'm not sure I like the pattern, because the pattern didn't decrease in here at the ankle like it should. And, I didn't like the way the heel closed. When I turned the heel, I didn't like I also didn't like the heel. It's not a reinforced heel, which I like to do a reinforced heel. And this part of the upper part of the sock, the way the pattern is, it makes it kind of wide in here. And I kind of like a narrow sock in here, one that isn't always falling down. Okay. So I thought, oh, that's fine. I'll give these to my grandson. Hope he's not watching, because you see he did not get them. And then I'll start another pair for my son-in-law, my newest son-in-law, who loves my socks, loves my socks. And I'm only going to make socks for them, and I'll worry about something else for the other men. So when I got to the other pair of socks, I started, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go top down, because I'm used to going top down. But again, I picked out another pattern. I picked out to make a long story short, I sabotaged myself again to the point where I got and turned a heel. I went the whole way down and went and turned the heel, and I kept going, and then I looked at my sock and I said, why is this seam in the back and the heel on the top of the foot? The heel was like on this part of the foot instead of on this. See, the heel was up here instead of down here. Which is no good. So I just folded them up and I put them in my basket, and I said, I'm going to put these away till after Christmas. I'm going to go to Old Navy, 40% off. I'm going to buy them some lovely clothes, which they all will appreciate because they love Old Navy. And we're going to spend Christmas without stress and without worry. And then I'm going to finish the socks and I'll give them to the next year. And these socks I'm going to tear out. This is really what I said. I'm going to tear out these socks, and then I'm going to reknit them using a pattern that I like, and they will be perfect socks. I will maintain my reputation as the person who knits perfect socks. Is that what I was looking for? I'm not sure. Because the day after New Year's Eve, the day we came home from our friend's home, and I was reflecting about the intentions that we laid, and I was reflecting about going around that wheel of the year and lighting those candles on each house of the zodiac, and how the difficulty that I had when I came to charity. And I think of myself as a charitable person and a person who will give if somebody really needs it. But, you know, do I really? How many people do I drive past all the time, you know, that are on the freeway begging for money or begging for help? How many people do I walk past? We were in the garment district. We walked past in Los Angeles a couple weeks before Christmas and walked past. I can't tell you how many homeless people. I can't tell you how many people are camped there in the cold streets. Everybody has those kind of people in their cities. And everybody at this time of the year, at Thanksgiving time, people start, I'm going to volunteer to cook Thanksgiving dinner for the homeless. Or at Christmas, they do the same thing. Or I'm going to give food to the food banks. We do that, right? And I do that too, and there's nothing wrong with it. You should be doing that. But as soon as the New Year comes along, we forget about it. And here, you know, it's a cold world. And here in California, like everywhere it's a cold world. But here in California, it's not only a cold world for us. Like, I know it's not Minnesota. And please, for Minnesota, don't tell me that it's colder. It's much colder where you are. But here, people do not have clothing, warm clothing, and people are not prepared. And the winter here also means rain. It also means rain, so it's rain and cold, and people who do not have proper wardrobe or proper whatever. And it's not cold enough that they have to give warnings that we have to get the people in off the streets. It's only cold enough, usually, that they just have to be damn miserable. Damn miserable. And here I have this perfect knitted warm wool socks. And why would I even consider tearing those out to make a more perfect sock for my child or my grandchild? I'm going to take the socks, I'm going to give them to somebody that's homeless. I'm going to open up a page on Facebook trying to get I have a lot of knitters that I know in my life, a lot of spinners who spin wool. They spin wool all the time, but they don't knit anything. They just like to spin. So they're selling their fiber, or they're giving the fiber, trading the fiber. I've got a lot of people that love to knit socks, but their family won't wear them. So what do they do with the socks? Let's get these together. I'm going to make a page. Now, this is not about that. This, you know, like this is not about that. But I want you to think, when you're making your intentions, laying your intentions this year, and if you haven't done them yet, please do them. And it doesn't matter if you've already done them. We can keep making intentions all the time, not just at New Year's. But this is a really good time to think about it. Thinking, turning this switch on the camera the other way for part of those intentions. I'm not implying. Please, I hope I'm not insulting anybody. I am not. We have some friends. I have a lot of wonderful people that I admire so much, care for so much here on YouTube, who are on incredible journeys of weight loss and finding health. And I am 100% supportive of that. I am not speaking to you. I am speaking to me. I'm speaking to all of us, but mostly to me. And if it affects, and if you're somebody who should speak to yourself about the same thing, this is what I want to encourage you to do. One other thing, if I can really say one other thing, this is the way I approach the new year. Very much wanting a balance. Very much wanting a balance. And my friend even commented, she saw that I was here in wearing my balance. The reason I'm saying balance is this is moss agate that I'm wearing on these bracelets. And I have a rose quartz in the front. I wear these a lot when I'm seeking balance. They're the same. They're identical. As identical as they can be, but they're the same, which you don't usually see me wearing the same. But also moss agate is something that keeps me kind of grounded. It's very good. It's called the gardener's stone. It's very good for gardeners, but it has to do, for me, it's a very grounding stone. That's all I have to say. And rose quartz, of course, we know, everybody knows rose quartz. It has to do with loving, and for me, this is love of self, love of others, love of self, love of the God, love of the goddess, whatever, however I want to call it. Love of me, love of you. Right? It's giving and receiving. I receive with my left, I give with my right, because I'm right-handed. Okay? Receiving hand, power hand. I try to keep myself in balance as much as I can. And I'm approaching the new year. Am I approaching the year in balance? Is that so important? I thought it was. I thought it was important, but I'm not sure. Because I don't think I'm balanced. I don't think I'm balanced, and I don't think I want to be balanced right now. I think I want to, for a while, turn this around, stop looking at myself. And I know that is so contrary to what we're thinking at this time, because most of us are talking about doing shadow work at this time. And I want to say I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do that work. I'm still doing the shadow work. I'm still going to do it. And I think we have some activities planned with our friends that are going to include doing a lot of that, helping us through some of that work. So I'm still going to do it. I have made, today I just finished a chakra bracelet for myself. I made some of these for my own daughters for Christmas this year. Put them in their stocking. I have stones here representing, I can show you, stones representing each of the chakras. Well, first I have the rose quartz in the front here. And then I have going up on both sides. Representing the chakras. And then, of course, I have some snowflake obsidian in the back. So, it's balanced between the black and the white. And the black and the white, it's really pink. But you know what I'm saying. The rose quartz, I think of rose quartz as one thing. I think of this as blocking. The black is absorbing and blocking, and this is sending in light. That's in my mind. Okay. Anyway, doesn't matter. This is too, because this is my year. I mentioned I'm going to get in touch with my chakras. I'm going to learn some stuff about the chakras. I told you about my bad experience with that, and I told you I have some wonderful books about that, and I'm going to do a little, I'm not going to be teaching it because I'm not an expert, but I'm going to share what I'm finding out. I'm going to do a little, I'll set them up as a little, what do I mean to say? here on my channel, a little playlist. Little playlist on my channel about the chakras. As I go through and see what I can learn, I'm going to do a little series. So you'll be sharing when I'm learning, you're going to be sharing as well. Okay, so that of course is really coming in and working on myself. That is, I agree. I'm going to be working in on myself, getting my my things in order. Yes, my business in order. I'm not my business, but my, getting my blogs updated, getting my page. I'm very bad about going on my page. I've been very bad about answering people's questions. I know some people have expressed that they wanted to buy some things like this from me. They have expressed that they want to get readings from me. They have expressed that they want to maybe learn tarot from me. I promise I'm going to get back to you. And yes, we can set those things up very nicely. I'd love to do that. I'd be honored to do any of those things. I'm going to get my shop, my website up so I can actually put on there what I really have that I can share with you if it's something that you want. I'm going to do that, and I have neglected that for a lot of really bad reasons. But that's not going to be, it's something I'm going to do. I'm going to do all these things, and they are part of my intentions, but they are not my sole intentions for the year. Because I'm going to try to put my intentions, just like I'm trying to get balance within myself, I'm going to try to get balance between myself and other people. By the time we get to Ostara, this year, I intend to have that as a habit. I intend to have heard of Geraldine, which is her name, love her heart. I have an intention to have a part of Geraldine, part of her soul, buried in my heart, so that it's a habit for me to make sure that I turn that camera around, to make sure that I'm not just looking at myself, that I make sure that I'm not acting in a way that is only going to benefit myself, but I'm acting in a way that's going to benefit you. We have a very, very unstable political climate in this country. And I think you all know by now where my head is, and I think you all have told me, a lot of you have told me, that you don't appreciate where my head is, and that's okay. You have a right to say that. Okay, but I want to tell you something. Part of the difficulty we're having in our with the climate in our country today is because we are all so focused on self, we're not thinking about the other person. We're not thinking about the other person. It is so easy to blame other people. It is so easy to blame other people when you have things going hard on you, going hard for yourself. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. They're acting out in hate against people that are different from them because they're so desperate to want to have things for themselves. Please give that a thought. And please give a thought that if you think that's wrong, that you do what you can in a peaceful way to try to right that wrong. Please do not react to every post that comes up on Facebook, every political post, every bit of information with impatience and saying, I just can't stand this negativity. I just can't stand this division. Would you read some of those posts? Would you read some of those, listen to some of those videos? I recognize that there's a lot there that's not really factual. But there's quite a deal blog that is, and you can tell before you even read it. Look at where the source is. Look at what the source is. I don't mean the source of the person sending it to you. I mean, is this from, the Washington Post, or is this from, eatme.com? Whatever. You don't understand. There's differences. There's differences in the strength of the, what is the authority? What is your authority? What is the authority of the person? If you're going to completely ignore it, if you're going to completely ignore that, that is a little bit of looking at self, isn't it? That's a little bit of being a little selfish. That's like looking at only me. Let's turn that camera around and look at somebody else. Let's turn it around and look. What is happening? It is your responsibility to know and to be a responsible voter if you're an adult in our country. You cannot be a responsible voter if you don't know the issues, if you don't know the facts, if you don't know what your candidate's doing. Do you know how your representatives are voted? Do you know how they vote? It's a public record. It's easy to find out. I beg you to please look at this year. Look outside yourselves. Look at this year. Help where you can. Help where you can to improve things for everyone, including that person who's cold and wet sleeping on the ground, including that person who's giving more than she has to help people who need it. Okay? Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I am so appreciative. I am very appreciative. And again, I promise to get back to correspond, answer your comments. I'm back now. I have this craziness behind me. And I just thank you for your patience. And I wish you peace. And I wish you blessings. I'm Rebecca the Good Wife. Thanks for watching.